Hello, everybody, and welcome to my show. It's called For Truth Seekers Only, and it's only meant for seekers of truth. So if you consider yourself a seeker of truth, then this show is for you. If you're not a seeker of truth, then the show is not for you, and please don't make any comments on this video. Okay, I'll be posting it to YouTube, and I please only for truth seekers who are sincerely seeking truth. Okay, so first, my name is Ronnie J. Abrams. Nice to meet you. Uh, I'm originally from Philadelphia, PA, and I live in Israel. I came to Israel in 1982. Okay, I'm the son of a refugee from Nazi Germany, a Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany. And that's just leave that for the short introduction for now. Let's make a l'chaim on my coffee. And see, that's called a chamsa. That's again, that is a symbol in according to Judaism. Yahadut. Judaism is called Yahadut in Hebrew, and let's make and that's wards off the evil eye. Of course, in order to ward off the evil eye, that's not going to help you if you don't have true faith in the one God, the God of Israel, the God who created heavens and earth. That's what we're going to talk about. This is for truth seekers only, and it's I chose at the age of 23. I chose to become a Talmudic scholar, and I became a Talmudic scholar, became a rabbi, but I don't like to go by rabbi. I'm non-affiliated. I'm an independent thinker. That's what I consider myself an independent thinker. I'm a truth seeker. That's what I am. I always was a truth seeker from the time that I was 8 years old and I saw the films of the Holocaust, and I realized that my father came from there. My father was 6 years old, and they got him out right before the Kristallnacht in 1938 of October. My father got out. This is the time. This is October right now. This is Friday, October 15th, the Ides of October. Acht means in German, October. October it should be the eighth month, you see, October. But it's the 10th month. And, you see there's a problem there with the names of the months, you see. September, right? September, right, is really the ninth month, but see, sept really means seven. So September, which is the ninth month, but the name itself indicates the seventh month. And October, the name itself indicates the eighth month. November, nueve is nine. November indicates the name itself indicates that it should be the ninth month, and in reality is the 11th month. And December, we know decimal, decade, DEC in Latin or whatever it is, DEC, decimal, decade. December, should be the 10th month, and in reality it's the 12th month. So you see, there's a problem with the names of the calendar, and you have to understand why. We're not going into that right now, but we're going to see. This is a Turkish coffee. And we're going to make a l'chaim. We're going to welcome everybody to the show. This is called For Truth Seekers Only. Welcome. It's only for truth seekers. So once again, if you are a truth seeker, you're welcome to join me. And if you're not, then you're not welcome to join me because it's only for truth seekers. This is an exclusive club for people who are seeking truth, because truth is something that's hard to find in this world. It's not an easy thing. Truth is something which is hidden, and you have to seek it in order to find it. Seek and ye shall find. My father always told me that. Seek and ye shall find. So let's make a l'chaim on my coffee here. This is a Turkish coffee. The Turks gave us coffee. They gave us dried figs. They're amazing with how they produce their dried figs, the Turks. And thank you all the Turkish people throughout the history of the ancient Turks. They're an ancient people, the Turks, and they gave us Turkish coffee and Turkish figs. Thank you very much. To life, l'chaim, my Turkish coffee here in Israel. I'm sitting right here in Israel with my Israeli IDF hat, you see. Oh, I should make a bracha. I didn't make a bracha on this yet. Because you want to thank the good Lord for giving you such great coffee. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyeh bidvaroi. Okay, and just in case you don't know, so you make a blessing before you take pleasure. When you take pleasure from anything, when you eat anything or drink anything, you thank God. You make a bracha. It's called a blessing. You say, Baruch, blessed are you You are Baruch. You are the source of bracha, dear God. You are the source of blessing. You are the source of everything. You are the source. You are owner operator of the universe. You created the whole universe, the heavens and the earth, everything that exists. You created, dear O Lord. And you gave us such pleasure, such things like coffee to take pleasure. And we thank the good Lord for every little pleasure that we have. Every breath of oxygen. Ah, we love that oxygen. Yes, indeed. That O2. Every oxygen is made up of two. It's a combination of two. O2 is oxygen. It has to be two joined together. And that bond is so powerful. The bond that holds those two atoms of those two molecules together. The oxygen molecule is an amazing thing. So you see, it's interesting because in Hebrew, the ancient Hebrews, who I'm an ancestor from, the ancient Hebrews, any Jew nowadays, we're all ancestors from an ancient tribal people. There were 12 tribes of Israel, 12 sons of Israel. Each son of Israel, Jacob, Israel, each son founded a tribe, and they were separate tribes, but they were united originally. For many hundreds of years, the 12 tribes of Israel were united, united tribes of Israel. But then there was a war between the southern tribes, which was made up of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and the northern tribes, which were made up of the other 10 tribes. And we're not sure if Levi was amongst them as well. It could be. It could be all the tribe of Levite. But as far as I know, the tribe of Levite also lived in the northern kingdom of Israel, which was made up of the 10 tribes. The southern kingdom was called Judah. We're descended from the kingdom of Judah. All Jews are descended from the kingdom of Judah, which is made up of 3 tribes and a sub-tribe. It was made up of Judah, which was the largest tribe, Benjamin, which was the smallest tribe, and Levi, which had a sub-tribe of Kohen, which are the priests. They're called the Kohanim. That's every Jew with the name Kohen is descended, but every Jew with the name Kohen theoretically should be descended from the sub-tribe of Levi, which came from the older brother of Moshe, which was Aaron. And Aaron founded the tribe of the Kohanim, the Kohens. So every Jew by the name of Khan or Kohen or Kohn are supposed to be descendants from them. But, halach, there's tribal laws, which, for example, if a Kohen were to marry, if someone who is a Kohen were to marry a divorced woman and have a child, so that child, even though his name may be Kohen, or Katz also, Kohen said it, Katz is also a name which indicates that they're from the sub-tribe Kohen of Levi. But once a Kohen man marries a woman who is a divorced woman, that child from that relationship is not considered a Kohen anymore. He becomes disqualified from the tribe, even though his father is really in the bloodline of Kohanim. And it goes after your father, you see, even though whether you're a Jew goes after your mother. But anyway, I don't want to go into all these things. I find that boring, I'll tell you the truth. All these laws, these tribal laws. I call them tribal laws because that's what they are. We come from tribes. We are a very ancient tribal nation, tribal people. But a lot of Jews who consider themselves big shots, a lot of Jews who consider themselves prominent, famous people, wealthy, famous people, they don't like the whole concept of the fact that we're a tribal nation. For something you see, they only like it when you talk about the Native Americans, the indigenous peoples of America. There, they like to apply the word tribe. They're tribal people. The Cherokee, they're a tribe. I grew up in Philadelphia. I was born and raised in Philadelphia, PA, with the Lenape Indians. That was their ancestral homeland, and there's still the names of the indigenous peoples that lived in the Philadelphia, Delaware Valley region. That region was populated with Indian tribes, and we have the names of Delaware, the Susquehanna. There's all kinds of names of places and rivers which they kept. The colonial people who came from Europe and England. William Penn, wherever he came from, I guess, I don't know. William Penn, where did he come from? England? I don't know. Billy Penn, his statue is still on the top of City Hall to this day, overlooking the city. William Penn. These people, they came from Europe, they came from England, and they took over the land of the Native Americans. But I still felt, when I grew up in Philly and I was an outdoorsman, I loved going out. I spent a lot of time in Pennypack Park. I think the name Pennypack Park also indicates it's the name of the indigenous peoples that lived there at the time. And when I grew up in Philadelphia, PA, and in the Delaware Valley region, I didn't see any Indians. I didn't see any. Where'd they all go? But I felt their spirit. I felt their spirit, especially as a hippie growing up in the 60s in the South. I became a hippie in the 70s. But I was born in 1959, so growing up in the 60s, I was influenced. I spent a lot of times in Pennypack Park, and I can feel the spirit of the indigenous peoples that lived there. Because they kicked them out of their home. That was their ancestral home. They lived there for hundreds of years, those people. How can they just come along and just kick them out of their land? However it happened. I'm not going into the history of the indigenous peoples of America, but I feel their spirit. I really do. Anyway, to life here on the Turkish coffee. So anyway, I came to Israel in 1982, and I married an Iraqi woman, an Iraqi Jewish woman, and so all my 7 kids, they should all live and be well. They're all half Iraqi and half Ashkenazi. Actually, I'm half German and half Ukrainian. Well, I'm half German. My father's from Germany, and then on my mother's side, I'm Ukrainian. My mother's mother's family came from Ukraine, from the Ukraine. From the Kiev region. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. So, how you guys doing? So, this is Ronnie J. Abrams. This is my new show. This is my first episode. This is my pilot. First episode pilot, you'll say. And so this is called a chamsa. It's a 5, it's a hand, and that's supposed to ward off the evil eye. But as I was saying before, to ward off the evil eye, you have to have faith. The stronger your faith is, then the more power you will have to ward off the evil. What's the evil eye? What is that? It means there's demons, there's dark angels. There are all kinds of spiritual beings that want to harm you, and you have to have a defense. You have to have a defense, a wall of light, of pure light energy through faith. And that light energy through faith, it provides that you live in a sphere of pure light through your faith. And that light, so therefore the dark entities cannot invade your space. And if they try to, then they will be destroyed, because you take their dark energy and you transform it into light. You transmute it, you transform it, it's the fuel. The dark energy is the fuel which fuels your light through faith. That's really what it's about. So to life, l'chaim. How you guys doing, l'chaim? This is a great time. This is a great time to be alive. There's a lot of things going on. Thank God there's not a Holocaust going on, because people say how terrible things are getting. America now, there's food shortages, there's high gas prices, there's food, there's a supply chain shortage. I don't want to go into politics, but it looks like America is doomed because the socialists, corrupt ruling class elites took over, and the Trump supporters are now going to be called domestic terrorists. So that's the situation in America. I'm not getting involved in politics because I don't want to get political. Because as soon as you come out as a Trump supporter, you offend all these stupid idiots who believe that Trump is a racist, another Hitler, an orange monster man, whatever have you. He's the only great leader that we've ever seen in all of the presidents that I've ever seen. Never before did you have a person who became a billionaire and then after he became a billionaire went into politics. All of the politicians, they became rich through politics. Maybe Ronald Reagan was rich before he went into politics, but still he wasn't that rich. He was okay. He was a Hollywood movie star for great B movies, and he became the president of the Screen Actors Guild, as far as I remember. I once wrote a paper about when Carter debated Reagan, when I had a creative writing course in Temple University. In Temple University, the thing that I liked the most about Temple University was we had the number one Japanese master in karate, who just happened to be teaching a course in karate called Shotokan. the Shotokan style of karate. And he was the world's renowned master. He was number one world master of Shotokan karate. And he just happened to be giving a karate course there at Temple University. And I was really lucky to be able to get into that course and learn karate from the world's number one Japanese master. I mean, that was amazing. And I still, many of the things that he taught us to this day, I use it. So, especially the breathing techniques. Anyway, to life, l'chaim. Nothing like good Turkish coffee. Indeed, indeed. Thank you, God, for giving us the Turks who gave us Turkish coffee and Turkish figs. What will we do without Turkish coffee and Turkish figs? You know, where would the world be without the ancient Turkish people? Here's to the Turks, to the old Turks, to the young Turks, to the new Turks, to the blue Turks, to the white Turks, to the black. See, the thing is, I wanted to share with you just an interesting insight, you see. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, do not judge a man by the color of his skin, but rather by the content of his character. And what's interesting is, because after a person dies and his body goes to the earth, let's say a person is buried in the earth. You know, let's say not everybody gets to be buried in the earth. Some people die in fires and their bodies are burnt to crisp. But let's say you get buried in the earth after you die, and you know what happens? All the worms and maggots and ants and all those, they eat your flesh, they eat your skin, they eat your flesh, they eat your eyeballs, they eat everything. They eat everything. That's what they do. And what's left of you? Bones. And the bones are white. I don't care whether your skin was black, red, brown, yellow, green, orange, white, tan, pink, peach, purple, apricot. It doesn't matter what color your skin was. When you die and your body's buried in the earth and all of your flesh has been eaten by the worms and the maggots and the ants, what's left of your body is white bone. Everybody's bones are white. Every human being's body bones are white, color white, and it's very, very bright white. It's a white color. You know, the bone white, very white, very, very white. As white can be, like the white of the eggshell. White as snow almost. Snow is probably a little bit whiter, but that's not for now. You want to have a discussion about how white are the white of the bones? That's boring information. But the point that's interesting is that every single human being, whether your skin is when you were alive, and now you're dead and your bones are white, but your skin could have been black, purple, orange, red, tan, yellow, white, pink, peach, apricot. Whatever color your skin was, your bones are white. Your blood, when you bleed, is red. Everybody has the same, we all bleed the same color. Doesn't matter what color your skin is, does it? To life, l'chaim. So anyway, as the son of a refugee from Nazi Germany, Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany, as I was saying before, my father was evacuated right before the what they call the night of the broken glass. In Hebrew, they call Leil HaBedolach, and in Yiddish, it's called Kristallnacht. Crystal, the night of crystal, the night of glass. Crystal, I guess in German, is glass. Crystal is glass. Yeah, I once dated a girl in a sherry glass. Doesn't matter. The point that I'm making is, we went out on one date. No, it doesn't matter. She was a good tennis player. The point that I'm making is like Azoy. If you're a truth seeker and you come to watch my show, then we're going to examine truths. Now, there's something that I wanted to discuss with you, and I'm going to end it here because I see it's already getting too long, and people get bored. People can't watch a whole video. Our attention span is very short nowadays, unless it's a Hollywood movie, and then you can sit there and watch it for 2 hours or whatever. The point that I'm making is, and that I want to discuss this concept. There's 4 words. There's 4 words from the teachings of our ancient Jewish sages, and it says, Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kam. Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kam. Let's just analyze these words. 7 Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kam. 7 times the righteous person falls and rises. Now let's take the literal translation. Sheva, 7. Yipol shall fall. Tzaddik, righteous person. Vikam, and gets up and rises and ascends. Those are the word vikam, and he rises, he gets up, he ascends. It has all those connotations without any interpretation. Plain meaning of the words. It's called the Pasha Pshat. The Pshat HaPashut. Pshat HaPashut. L'chaim. So now let's interpret it now. What does that mean? Take the literal words. 7 shall fall, the righteous person, and rises and ascends. So usually most people think, well, the righteous person falls again. He falls the first time, he rises. He falls the second time, he rises. He falls the third time, he rises. Fourth, and etc. Until he falls the 7th time, and he rises. That's the push-up shot. But it doesn't say that. It doesn't say the tzaddik falls 7 times and rises each time. It doesn't say the tzaddik falls 7 times and rises each time. It says the tzaddik falls 7 times and rises. Maybe it means he falls, and after he fell 7 times, he kept falling deeper and deeper and deeper. More low, more he got lower and lower and lower. He kept falling 7 times, and finally at the end he rose. That's one interpretation. Or maybe it means the tzaddik, if he fell the first time, he rose higher. He fell the second time. He fell lower than the first time. The second falling, he fell lower. And then he rose the third time, or the second time, and each time he rises higher. So it would be like a graph. He falls, rises, falls, rises, falls. And it would keep getting bigger, like a graph like that. It would keep getting bigger. That's another interpretation, right? And you could have a third interpretation. Maybe it just means the tzaddik, he falls, he rises, he falls, without falling deeper and rising higher and falling deeper. So there's different ways to interpret those 4 words. So this is what a Talmudic scholar, he takes words and he gives all possible interpretations until he decides which is the best interpretation, which makes most sense based on everything you know and everything you've ever experienced through your 5 senses. That's what a Talmudic scholar does. He assesses the situation. Scientists don't do that anymore. Maybe a great scientist who's an independent free thinker might, but it's very rare to find a scientist who's an independent free thinker, because you see, they all are adhering to a certain. They're basically like prisoners chained with their backs to the wall in Plato's allegorical cave. Because you see, to get a PhD, when you write your doctoral thesis, it has to fit in within the framework of the professor who's going to either approve your thesis and pass you and give you your doctorate degree. And you have to think, well, what would he disapprove of? And therefore you cannot. So you see, that's throughout your history of education. Anyone who went through the education system, like I did in America, in Philadelphia, PA, you're being indoctrinated into a certain way of thinking, and you're inside a box. And in order to break out of that box, you have to become independent and not desire the Nobel Prize, not desire a position of prominence in universities, not desire to be published in professional scientific journals and what have you. So I did that, because I decided that it doesn't matter to me then if I win a Nobel Prize. It doesn't matter to me if I'm accepted and considered a prominent scholar. It didn't matter to me, because I was only interested in one thing: truth. And that's why this is only for truth seekers. That's why the show is for truth seekers only. And if you're not a truth seeker, you don't belong here. So stop watching me. If you're not a truth seeker, if you're only here because you find me interesting for whatever reason, but you're not a truth seeker, I'm not interested. To life, l'chaim. Anyway, you see, I drink coffee and I smoke cigarettes. I'm just a badass mother effer. Oh, like Bad Company. I remember I posted a question. What band The name of the band is the same as the name of the album, which is the same as the name of the song on the album. So it's all the same name, Bad Company, right? Bad Company is the name of the album. Bad Company is the name of the band, and Bad Company is the name of the song on the album. Their number one song, you know. Destiny always on the. I was born, the sixth gun in my hand. That's why they call it. Dun, dun, dun. Bad Company. I won't deny. How you guys, how you mother effers doing? So this is for truth seekers only. And I'm going to end with this, and I'm going to say, because these 4 words, Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kam, the righteous, I call the righteous person ascending master. Ascending master. Tzaddik is an ascending master. 7 times he falls. 7 times he falls, he gets up. He falls deeper, he gets up higher. He falls deeper 7 times. And after the 7th time he falls so deep. If he's able to get up again, he rises and never falls. The 8th, he reaches the level of what they call nirvana. But in Yahadut, in Judaism, in Yiddishkeit, the highest level is called the level of Yechidah. It's the most unique. Yechidah is the highest level to reach. There's Yechidah, there's Chaya, there's Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh. There's 5 levels of soul. And there's 7 worlds. There's 7 heavens and 7 earths. And there's 4 different, there's the world of Atzilus, the world of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. We live in the world of Asiya, but we're also connected to the world of Atzilus if you can get to the world of Atzilus, the highest level. And these are different time continuums. These are different time continuums, you see. Helps to explain deja vu, that there's actually exists different time continuums. There's 7 heavens and 7 earths, and there's 4 worlds of different time continuums, each one closer to the source. The highest one is called Atzilus, which is translated as emanation. And the ascending master, but only through humility, the ascending master, see, that's the thing. If a person is not humble, if a person wants to win the Nobel Prize like Einstein did, so it's going to derail his path to truth. All right, if your mind's eye is focused on the Nobel Prize, which Einstein's, his endeavors in seeking truth wasn't in order to find truth, but it was in order to win the Nobel Prize. And there's a big difference, you say. So the Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kam, every time the tzaddik falls, he falls, he asks himself, why did I fall? And the answer is because when a tzaddik rises, what does it mean a tzaddik rises? What does it mean? An ascending master who seeks truth and makes sacrifice. It all depends on self-sacrifice. How much are you willing to sacrifice in order to know truth? Are you willing to sacrifice your ego on the altar of truth? If yes, then you go to the first time you rise, you sacrificed your ego, you did self-sacrifice for the sake of God, for the sake of truth. You might not have known that truth was God. You were a truth seeker, and then you found out that truth is God. God is truth. All truth seekers will come to the same conclusion, that truth is God, the one creator of heavens and earth. There's only one. There's only one infinite being who is the owner-operator of the entire universe. If you understand the concept of infinite, if you ponder what infinite, the word, the concept infinite, what does it mean? Not finite. What does not finite mean? That means there's no beginning. Do you understand what it means that there's a being that exists that has no beginning? No, you don't, because you haven't pondered it long enough unless you've been truth-seeking for a long time, and you understand that God has no beginning. It's so hard to fathom the concept that God has no beginning. He's the only creature. He's not a creature, you see. The word creature does not apply to God because the word creature indicates something which had a beginning. We are creatures because there was a time in 1959, May the 7th, I didn't exist here on earth. I only came into being on May 8th, 1959. But on May 7th, 1959, I wasn't here yet. Oh, I was in my mother's belly. So I was there in my mother's belly, but I didn't have a separate entity. I wasn't living as a separate entity. I was part of my mother's body. And thank God she didn't have an abortion, because I feel sorry for all the human beings that could have lived but didn't because their mothers aborted them. But that is a different subject, and I know it's very controversial. Whether a woman has a right to her own body means that she's a right to kill the baby, human unborn baby that's growing inside of her. Very controversial issue. Even amongst the rabbis, there are different opinions. So, but I'm not going into the whole concept, the whole controversial subject of abortion at this present time, because I want to enjoy the Turkish. My Shabbos is coming. See, the Shabbos Parshas Lech Lecha. So the point that I'm making is that Sheva Yipol HaTzadik V'Kam, that the tzaddik falls. Why did he fall? The tzaddik falls because when he rose, the first time that the tzaddik rose, he ascended the first time. What caused his downfall? That's the question. You have to understand, why did he fall? Just so it's nice. Sheva Yipol HaTzadik V'Kam. Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kam. 7 times the righteous ascending master, he falls 7 times and he rises each time. But why? Why does he fall? Why does the righteous person fall? What causes his fall? And the answer is very simple if you understand. If you've ever tried to be a truth seeker, you would understand. Maybe you've fallen. Maybe you're in a fallen state right now and you want to rise again. So this could help you. The cause of the fall is very important. You have to ask, why did you fall? If you fell, if you were an ascending master, you're a person who's growing in faith in God, and you were doing you're self-sacrificing to do kindness to people, to help people, for the sake of truth, for the sake of God, and then you fell and you lost your faith. Why? You became weak in your faith. Why? What made you lose your faith? That's what a falling means. What does it mean if a tzaddik falls? He falls down physically? No, it means he lost his faith. A righteous person, he rises and then he loses his faith 7 times. Until after he fell the 7th time, after he falls the 7th time, he rises again the 8th time, never to fall again. If he gets up after the 7th fall. There's no guarantee that he's going to get up after the 7th fall. There's no guarantee that he's going to get up